for Focus on TV. I'm actually in a studio, a radio studio at the moment, back in a studio. Do you know, I started my career a long time ago in radio, but it's a very special occasion for me because I have three fabulous people sitting in front of me. It's all to do with the subject of shadeism or colorism. I don't know if you're aware of it. If you want to find out what we're talking about, have a quick look at the BBC News Africa Facebook page. And there's a little clip on there which is going to introduce you to the subject that we are discussing today. And it's all about a film called, you know what, I'm actually going to let the director introduce this as well, because who else? Who's the best person to introduce? So, little intro and tell us all about the film, Claire.
Absolutely. Hi, world, Africa, Asia, everybody that's tuning in. Thank you so much for your time. My name's Claire Anyam Osigwe, and the title of my new film, my debut feature film, is No Shade, in which it's a romantic drama, a definitive romantic drama centered around love, relationships, and the issue of colorism. Yes.
That sounds complicated. I mean, love in itself is complicated. But when you start adding colour into it, and we'll come back to this.
Okay.
Sitting next to Claire is Kadeem. Kadeem, just introduce yourself quickly, please.
Hello, my name is Kadeem Pierce, and I play one of the lead roles in Claire's film, No Shade, and my character's name is Danny.
Now, do we have to boo Danny? Boo!
I think... Danny's a very complex character.
Okay.
And I think once you find out his reasons behind his actions and where he's coming from, his perspective, you'll get a much more deep-rooted understanding of where he's coming from. But initially, it might be a bit... but
I think there'd be a lot of people going, oh my God, I know him.
Definitely. Like even just in the process, I saw, friends and people that I knew that I had to kind of channel through my character when I was playing this, this very complex person that is Danny. But you'll see.
And the person we all want to hug is Adele. Adele, introduce yourself, please.
Yes, hello. I feel like I'm getting a million hugs now. Hello, world. My name is Adele Oni. I am playing the other lead role of Jade in the film No Shade.
Okay, so Adele basically this is a love story between Adele and Kadeem, and we don't want to give anything away, but it's a story that people will know around the world again, and this is a story that goes back generations, isn't it? And this is part of the story of colorism. Claire, just to start off with you, why did you think we needed to make this film? What triggered it?
Oh, wow. I was having a conversation with a girlfriend in last October, so not long ago, less than a year ago, October 2017, and we have a mutual friend who, in between having long-term relationships with light-skinned women, and he expressed to me from the age of 18 when me and him was at university that he would never date me. Not that I even fancied him, but he made it very clear to me that I was too dark for him, even though his actual complexion is darker than me.
To that?
I was just like, I find you, I'm from North London, so I'd be like, God, the mandem, you guys are ridiculous. You know what I mean? And actually, I don't even fancy you, but if I did, I'm sad to know, can you tell me why? And he said, it's because I want to date a girl that's more exotic. When I look at you, I see my mum, I see my sister, I see struggle, I see poverty. I grew up in Tottenham. You're from Islington.
Poverty?
Yes, because his mum grew up in a single parent home.
Okay.
And so I said, wow. So he's like, so I always go out with a girl that's, Latino or Hispanic or just something different so that our cultures can come together and create something new, and so that she doesn't remind me of what I've grown up around. And I was like, that is awful, because I know that if I was your sister and another guy said that to me, what would you say to him?
Were you strong enough, though, at that age? Because how old were you?
I was 18.
Right. Were you strong enough mentally at 18 to know that what he was saying was wrong I can walk away from this? Because a lot of women these days, and do you know what, Adele, there is a scene in which we'll play it in a moment where you're asking your friend, am I too black? I know. And I think most women these days who are in that position, I don't think at 18 I would have been strong enough to fight back.
I think I grew up quite tough.
Okay.
I grew up in a children's home, but I had two, and I still have two amazing brothers who are like my dads. And I remember being about 7 or 8, and one of the kids in the playground told me that I look like a gorilla because I have these really big
had
brown
that.
eyes
Yeah.
and blah, blah. And I went home to my brothers and I said, Pete and Anne, so-and-so said that I look like a gorilla and that I'm ugly. Is that true? And they said, that person's a stranger and doesn't know you. We know you, we love you, and we think that you're beautiful. So who are you going to believe? And I was like, I'm going to believe you. And then I went back into the playground with that empowerment from my two brothers who were like gods in our area because they were like, you know, big and strong. And I was like, well, my brothers think I'm amazing. So I always, that one particular situation has always stayed with me. So even when I'd be told, oh, you know, you're pretty for a dark-skinned girl, which is another very derogatory thing to have said to you, because that means that the standard of dark-skinned women is that we're ugly by default. Who made that up?
Well, listen, if you are, for those of you listening to this via Facebook, Facebook Live, it's BBC News Africa. Your comments, please. Let us know. Have you ever been told, oh, I don't know, yeah, you're black, but you're not like, you know, black. Or, do you know that one? You're not like proper black. Or, you know, yeah, you're not black enough. I've heard that one. I've had that one before. Get in touch. Send us your messages. We'll read those out. Just before we start to speak to Adele and Kadeem, just to mention actually that Benny has written in. Benny Mutunda, that's the perception of the world, yes, but at the ground roots it's different. Natural colour is considered pure, decent and also morally right. You may be in the minority here, Benny. Colour is mostly considered in medias like papers, TV, social media, etc. So it's just on sale. Benny, thank you for that. I wonder, though, if, like we were saying, you know, most people are strong enough. Kadeem, you play Danny.
Yes.
And you're the one breaking all the hearts. So you break Adele's heart, basically. How was it playing that role?
I think from my perspective, it's definitely something that I'd grown up to experience through friends and just the community that I'd grown up in, also with family as well. So
You've heard all this?
I wasn't a stranger to any of the topics that were highlighted or anything that was highlighted in the script that Claire wrote. So it was more about me coming through from an understanding place of really seeing where these you know, idealisms and thoughts had derived from and why this has been instilled in Danny, and just to make sure that I got the right portrayal and as to be as honest as I could. To really channel those you know those hard and, you know, definitive thoughts.
Did you feel as if you almost wanted to choke over those words? Because I was watching the trailer, and you can watch it again on the Facebook page, the BBC News Africa Facebook page. I was gasping. You know, it was like,
yes.
There's such strong, powerful words, aren't they? Did you know, when you saw that script and you had to verbalise it, how did you feel?
I think, well, because I'm an actor as well, it wasn't really that hard in a sense. I guess from you know, from the outside looking in, it can be quite shocking to hear these words, you know, spoken out loud. But I think a lot of people would have maybe spoken these words in the comfort of their homes, you know, to friends behind closed doors. So I guess when you do see it said in a public setting, it's like, oh my gosh, you can't say that. But really and truly, we know we've kind of swept it under the rug, or may have heard it when we were in school or growing up. So I think it's you know, it's very important that Claire has written this script and that we are putting it on a platform so that we can open it up and have this discussion for people to express themselves, because I guess a lot of people, the majority of people, have grown up with these, you know, issues and deep-rooted insecurities. And I think it's important that we get it out and we really, really tackle these issues.
Okay, on the subject of insecurities, I want you to have a listen to this particular clip. So Jade, played by Adele Oni, who's we're going to speak to in a moment, is asking a question I think many girls or women in this position either mentally ask themselves, or if they're lucky enough, will speak to a friend. So let's have a listen to this.
Listen, can I ask you something? A serious question?
Oh my god, yeah, of course. Am I too black?
What?
Like, am I too dark?
What? Who's been talking?
It's just the last guy I went on a date with, you know, like we were talking online and we had such great banter, yeah, like he seemed really interested in me. Then we met up and he like literally attacked me. He
What?
said that I tricked him.
He's an idiot. He's literally a fool.
Adele. Do you know what? We were saying earlier, as you get older, you can walk away from things like that and think, you're lost, mate.
Yeah.
Okay. But that question I've asked, and I know many girls have asked themselves in the mirror, you know, am I too dark? Am I too black? Yeah. I won't get this, or, you know, this isn't going to happen because of what people see. What was it like playing that role?
Too true.
Really?
Too true.
Okay,
You know,
explain that.
So for me, I always look at a script or a story before I sign on to it or even audition for it, simply because I think if I can't in some way or form find a relation to this character, and the story doesn't tell something that resonates in the world we live in, what is the point? You know, like Nina Simone said, art should reflect the times. And when I read Claire's script, I think the first thing I said to you was, I love this script. It's amazing. That was before you even asked me to self-tape for it, simply because I've known this issue growing up.
Have you experienced it?
My whole life is it. So I grew up in Nigeria till I was 12. Then I went to a boarding school in Somerset before I then went to uni. In Nigeria, it was always about lightening skin creams. I remember I used to use this skin cream called, Macari. The worst thing in the world. It ended up burning my skin. All to be fairer, all to be even skin toned, all to be prettier. Because the friends of mine who were fairer were considered wanted babes in school. I was never looked at, you know.
So going through the process of this role, how was it? Did you channel some of that? Or?
Honestly, it just... The beauty of my acting training is that I do my best to just exist within the circumstances given. And so, for example, there's a certain scene that always just stays with me as something I couldn't even foresee how it would have felt. Claire told me in this scene, I want you to go into the bathroom. I want you to put on a foundation that is almost white, essentially. Just plaster it on your face and look at yourself in the mirror. That's all she said, you know. And that's the brilliance of a director who understands what the situation will give you. She didn't tell me anything more than that because she knew that I would be affected.
Okay, right. Just pause there. Because we're talking about something so aesthetic, I want you to describe your skin colour. It's a horrible thing to say, but can you just describe?
I would say that I am beautifully dark-skinned, but I'm not Nubian, ironically. Irony of this is that I remember I went to go get a new foundation recently from NARS, and I bought the foundation, and then the sales assistant said to me, "You're lucky, that's the darkest we go."
You're lucky if I ever buy this.
You know, and I actually had to stop for a second to be like, "Are you kidding me? I'm not that. I'm beautifully dark, but I'm not even that dark compared to all shades that exist."
So the picture I'm trying to build here is that the scene, I've seen this scene. So your mirror, you've got the blonde wig,
yeah.
And then I've only seen the shot of the foundation you're talking about.
Yeah.
And even I jumped away from the screen because it was just so wrong.
Yeah.
And yet, that's the position we're putting women in.
But we do this all the time to ourselves. I mean, look at women who wear makeup and the face is lighter than the neck. All that kind of, to me, ridiculousness. Because what are we selling? What are we saying of ourselves when we are saying that the face that we want to paint on for the world is, we can only accept it if it's shades lighter than ourselves, you know? And like I was saying, going back to Nigeria, this was just rhetoric. This was just standard. You go to a wedding and you know that difference. And it's not as if men can't see this. I mean, there's my friend I'm talking to, and he just finds it ridiculous, you know. And
ridiculous that it's happening, or ridiculous
that we don't own what we are, and how we don't accept and love what we are. So, for example, what Claire was saying about your friend in uni, it actually made me just think perhaps what the issue is: how far do we run towards or away from our own culture?
Who are we blaming here? Do we blame the men?
No.
Or do we blame ourselves?
No, I'm not blaming anybody. I'm blaming historical issues that have been there since the dawn of time. But let's take, say, from colonialism, for example, and the issues that were imbibed there. Because I can't believe that when Chinua Achebe wrote Things Fall Apart, or the time period he was writing about, I can't believe before the colonialists came in, they decided who was beautiful based on the fairness of skin. I don't believe that. I just don't. So I'd like to believe that it's something that impacts the way we see ourselves and the way we see our success. And for some people, being black, running away from being, in quotation marks, black, whatever that represents to them, means that they also seek that in their partner. Meanwhile, those who own and are enriched by their culture run towards it. So, I mean, I could tell you a personal story, which is a bit...
Just very quickly, we'll come back to the personal story, but I just want to bring Danny in, because Danny has got in touch via Facebook. Not the Danny that's with me.
What did you say, Kadu?
This is another Danny. Okay. He's actually writing in from Zambia. I wanted to bring it in because you were talking about Nigeria.
Yeah.
And you brought up the subject of bleaching. And Danny Mohone, I believe your name is, says, so long as men don't follow suit, then there is no problem with women bleaching whatsoever. Women were born to look beautiful and attractive, and letting them do whatever they're pleased with their body is one of their fundamental rights. Go to Zambia. Almost every woman bleaches because most men in Zambia like a woman a little lighter, not dark-skinned. Leave this subject to women and stop marginalizing this topic. Even white people bleach.
I'm sorry, isn't he contradicting himself?
Well, this is what he's saying here. And then he sort of points out we need to do our research and understand. But, you know, this is one of the things that I was sitting there and I was thinking, why are we listening to these men? You know, is it the women's fault? You know, should we just walk away from the men and just go, whatever you're worried about? You know, what do you think?
I don't think we should walk away from
Do they need
anything.
re-educating?
I think the fact of the matter is, just following on from Adele, that this is something that is learned behaviour through the system of slavery. So 500 years ago when we were separated, well, our African American brothers and sisters were, and Caribbeans were taken away, and so the darker skinned Negro was in the cotton fields doing the heavy labour picking the cotton and stayed outside. The lighter skinned African, who obviously is a byproduct of rape, so this is violence, you know, was in the house, was the house Negro, and therefore was afforded scrap food, leftover food, maybe slept on a mattress instead of the hard floor outside. So this divide and conquer is learned from, you know, the European culture.
How do you move on from that? Because that, you know, it goes back generations
It does.
and generations.
It does.
How do
it goes
we move
by,
on?
by making a film like this, by re-educating, because more than just box office and the commercial side of filmmaking, for me, the reason why I've put on the new European poster is that it's a definitive romantic drama, is because I want it to go into universities and colleges and schools, and I'm doing the rounds later on this month, but I know I've got about 2 or 3 years to do with it because it's so important for re-education.
Right, there's a scene here. It's the bar scene. Let me just look behind me, make sure we've got it ready. So this is the bar scene, and basically it's a scene that many people on the dating scene, you know, young, will come across this, okay? And, well, listen to it first. Let's have a listen. Here we go.
Oh, it's nice to meet you. I'm sorry, is something wrong?
No, nothing. Wow. It's just that in your pictures you look mad different.
Is it? Like different, taller, because I'm wearing flats.
No. More lighter.
Sorry, can you say that again?
No big deal, man. I guess you must have put a filter on your picture. Was you wearing contacts?
Yeah, sometimes I wear contacts, so what?
Do you know what? The reason I really love that clip, and I asked the producers to clip that up for us, because it brings us right up to
The present day.
present day and what our young men and women are having to live with.
Yeah.
Social media, the way people are now dating,
Yes.
and those damn filters.
Filters,
Come on!
Listen, it's a new language now, isn't it? Catfishing, because he ends the clip by saying nothing worse than a catfish. A catfish where somebody turns up looking different from how they look. Because you do have filters that can lighten you, make your face slimmer, give you hairline that you didn't have, gel down your fringe, you know, make your eyebrows more arched. I mean, it's everything that we are not.
Okay, so for each of you, Adele, I mustn't forget your story that you were going to tell me.
I'll tell you.
What message, let's start with Kadeem, what message would you like people, young men, to take away from your role?
Well, definitely for the men that see themselves or friends in my role, when they do see this character going through the journey of the film, I hope that they almost unpick all the learned behaviours that they've grown up to kind of, you know, adapt to and form the young men that they have become, because it is very detrimental to our youth when they're taught from a very young age that they're not equal, in a sense, because we don't grow up to think, oh, light skin is right skin or dark skin is ugly, or we grow up and we hear these things from our peers and our counterparts. So I think I want them to really dig deep into themselves and really find out what it is that they really want out of life. Because a lot of the time we seek validation from social media. And like we said, we've talked about, you know, these are issues that have come from, you know, colonialism, slavery, but it is reinforced with this new age of social media and, you know, living on our handheld computers and seeing idealistic images of what beauty is. You know, and it's not only when we see people using filters lightening their skin, also with, you know, like contouring with the filters, like people being ashamed that their nose is broader or their lips are bigger, or that, you know, it's something
You know,
that...
It's interesting because it's not just from the black community, the Asian community also faces
Caste
this.
system.
Yeah.
Caste system.
And I came across an app. It was I think it was a Chinese or a Japanese app, a photo app, basically, and took a picture, and I was like, whoa, I'm a white girl, you know? And primarily this app took your picture, auto-filtered it, and lightened you.
Yes.
And I think that sort of told the story, basically. Before we find out message, Adele, somebody here has just, who is it? It's Zaksadid Ardal, I think his name is, or Sahadid Hashi, who is in Barama in Somaliland. Discrimination against people with dark skin is increasingly popular, and it's caused by a number of consequences such as bleaching again, and others. How can we sort out this obstacle according to your experience? So I'm going to throw that to you, Claire.
Sure, I'm a qualified allergist and a dermatologist. I've been so for the last 6 years, working around the corner actually in Harley Street with my brand Prime. And my massive thing, which I'm not even in a sense qualified to do, was counselling self-esteem. When women would come into my clinic and say, because I can make creams from scratch using natural vegan ingredients, they would say, Claire, can you add, you know, some acid in there so that I could be brighter?
Brighter.
Brighter is a kind way of saying light.
So this is like they changed the terminology.
Yes.
Yes.
And I'm like,
okay.
so what you're saying to me, sis, because it's usually an African, Caribbean or Asian woman, is that you want to be lighter. Why? And then the tears go, my husband's left me for someone lighter, or I can't get a man because I'm too dark, or my sister is lighter than me, and in the family I've always been treated differently. So much, like I keep on saying it, I feel that when people with darker skin are so policed in the world. You know, the way you look is always a topic of conversation. And I think we need more of our light-skinned counterparts to speak up and say, let's stop treating, you know, people from our own community different. The line in the film that's so poignant comes from actually my screen fiance in the film, the character of Eddie, played by Algie Salmon Fatahian, who's half Nigerian, is that no shade is superior. I think if we could all, it's about human rights. This is a human rights film, really about treating each other equally based on your character, your vibe, your energy. That's when we'll really, truly see some change. Apart from then, we're going to keep going around in circles.
I mean, the subject really has come out to the fore recently. We've had Beyonce's dad, in his book,
Yes.
Racism from the Eyes of a Child,
That's right.
saying, come
He's
on,
been in touch.
be real. How many dark-skinned people do we see in the music business?
And I think he's such an authority because his
who
daughter
made
is
it.
Beyonce.
Yeah. And a lot of people, sort of dissed him for that. And then you had, is it Maya
Jama.
Yeah. Something she wrote as a child, but still saying, being said now. Adele, we've had a couple of comments and it's all about the bleaching. And I feel as if you're an authority to speak because you've admitted, I've been there, I've done it.
Yeah.
There was one comment here saying it's all about self-hate and ego. Is it?
I mean, I want to believe self-hate or the lack of self-love, because I think hate is a very strong word to use in that case. Hate is very close to, let me not go towards that side, but there's a depression and a lack of love of life in that case. But when you are constantly told that you are wrong, growing up, every rhetoric is, we need to make sure that you are preparable and prepared to be marriageable. The goal, sort of end milestone when I was growing up in sort of upper middle class society in Nigeria is to be married, to have children. And if you cannot marry a man of substance in your society, what are you doing? You're not doing very well, are you? So irrelevant of your career, irrelevant of whatever you do, you haven't been married. No one wants you. That doesn't, everything else is irrelevant. So once that's your mindset from the get-go, from being a child, you will seek whatever. So, I mean, I remember once, this is a very personal thing to share, but I remember when I was about 7, because my mum is slightly fairer than me. She looks like me, but she's slightly fairer than me. And everyone used to always say, oh my God, your mum is so beautiful. Your mum is so pretty. She's so much prettier than you.
Nice.
I remember running into my bathroom once and actually genuinely praying to God to please make me beautiful, whatever that meant, because I couldn't deal with it.
If you can't understand the definition of your beauty, it's impossible to think you'll ever be accepted, isn't it? I mean, that's really the key to it. I remember an aspect of all of this also is obviously your skin colour, and there's a clip, and it's such a shame we haven't got it, where they're talking about hair. Men are talking about my little lighty wearing a weave. All I did in these clips, I'm telling you, was go, really was.
Yeah.
Because it got, I have to commend you. I have to commend you on this because you spoke what we say within close communities.
Thank you.
So this is a great job that you've done. But hair. I mean, what's the big deal with hair?
I mean, because me and Kadeem speak about this on the WhatsApp all the time. And I phoned him the other day and I literally had to ask him just to check in. But I was like, what's your stance on hair? Because we got into this big debate in the No Shade cast and crew WhatsApp. And it was coming out that people were sort of sticking up for Maya Jama because she said it when she was a kid. And I've said some messed up stuff some of the cast was saying. And then it then trickled into, but, truly, if you dark-skinned girls are happy with yourselves, why are you wearing weave? And my thing is, listen, you cannot tell me that I'm less woke, more woke, because I will take off this wig right now and show you my little afro, my teeny mini afro, and I'm feeling beautiful no matter what. You can't tell me nothing. I am not biologically, chemically changing my skin when I change my hair, which is grooming, so it's an accessory. If a man shapes up his hairline, shouldn't he just let his hair grow then? Should we be policing how you shape up your shape?
So how many?
You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, how far do we go?
So how many of you ladies have ever been told by a man to sort your hair out?
Oh my God.
Or by a granny or an auntie or a mum?
Oh my God, I'm always told, like I was telling Kadeem, because I was chasing him up,
pursing his lips, giggling.
Right, because I remember vividly, I was about 22, first years of Facebook, and I shaved my hair really low. I got DMs saying, Claire, are you okay? People thought I'd done a Britney. They thought I'd gone mad or I was ill. I said, I've never been more happier. My hair broke from all the relaxer. I need to start again. Yeah. But they were literally like, Claire, are you all right? Like, No girl wants to have low hair. Why not?
Yeah.
Your hair. Look at your
I
face.
chopped it all off. I
You're
just don't have
stunning. You
time.
can't tell me that she's not beautiful because she's not got a certain length of hair, a certain texture of hair.
Okay, so, I'm looking at you three lovely people in front of me and talking about, because I grew up in the phase of I'm a coloured. Yeah, now you can't say that in Britain, but I grew up with that term in Southern Africa. And when I have had comments about, yeah, but you're not black, are you? And I'm going like, what on earth is black these days? Isn't that the real thing? What on earth? Basically, you're saying you're not white. That's the sort of term about it. And occasionally, I will sit there and I will say, right, I have Greek, I have Portuguese, I have in the village black, kind of, pure. I have French, I have Sri Lankan. Now you start telling me where I should put myself on the scale. And I think this is where it's going a lot of the time. There isn't going to be one extreme or the other. Yeah. And I think the quicker people realise this, the quicker we can move on.
But I don't understand.
Sorry, go. Adele.
Sorry, I've never understood this why you have to put yourself on a scale.
That's it.
Why there shouldn't be a new scale created.
Exactly.
I mean, we look at reports and studies that say that in a few generations' time, everyone will be mixed race anyway.
It's going to be beige. It's going to be a beige world.
It is. It's the beige of the new. Have you seen the new poster? It's all beige. It's all foundation beige. Because that's what it's like a rainbow world, isn't it? Everybody's mixing and through migration and travel.
You know what I found sad about this whole subject is that it was racism within racism.
Oh my God, that's what cut me as well.
Because not only are you having to deal with it from outside the black community or the Asian community, you're then within it. You then have to deal with another level.
No peace.
That's the most shocking.
Yes.
It is, but it's also to do, like I was saying, it's to do with levels of aspiration and success within the black community. And unfortunately, we don't measure our success within ourselves. We measure it against the white race and what they have done. And therefore say, if we want to get anywhere remotely in that world, we have to figure out a way of placing ourselves and creating a hierarchy within our own self, and that's mental. I mean, I was reading Asada Shakur's, I am reading it, her autobiography, and she goes on about how in kindergarten, if you call someone a black something, it's an insult. You're a black idiot, you're a black anything. It's worse than just being an idiot or anything. It's an insult to be truly black because then you have no chance of being better than you are at this moment in time. So maybe it's just, I think it's much more than just beauty. I genuinely, for me, it's about what Matthew Knowles said about, I aspired to a better life. It's horrible to say these words, but that is why she was the right woman to marry. And that is, it's incredulous to me.
It is, but then if you really add to that and think about the Oxford English Dictionary and you look up the definition of black. Yeah. Black magic, black cat, black negativity, sheep. Wickedness, evil, everything dark in the world. Isn't it? And we look at everything that's white, it's pure, it's this and that. So we have to take the rhetoric and redefine it for ourselves. Okay. We have to place value on blackness.
Yeah. Right, I'm going to throw a few things at you, and I want a reaction, because I didn't know any of this. I don't know where I've been living. Okay, put a little cream in your coffee.
Yuck.
Do we know where or how that's come from?
That's a Caribbean thing.
Okay, meaning?
I've heard it.
Meaning, make sure when you date somebody, you make sure that she's a little bit lighter. Then you know
bring
what I
on
mean?
that dark skin girl.
Yes,
so
exactly.
This is something a parent would say to a child.
Yeah. Make sure that you put a little cream in your coffee when you're bringing a girl home.
What do you think of that, Kaji?
It's funny that because I'll give you an example in reverse.
Yeah.
So, my mum's side of the family are Jamaican, and my mum's side of the family are dark skin. And I've got an uncle who once said to me, I think I was about 12 or 13. I remember he was washing the dishes one day and he pointed at me and he said, I would never go out with a girl your complexion.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, I'm lighter than my uncle. And then years later, maybe 10 years later, he went out with 2 or 3 women lighter than me. And it always stuck with me. I didn't pull him up on it, but it's something that has resonated within me. So it's very complex because it can be you're not
nuanced.
black enough or you're too black. Or like one thing I also find, like even with friends, like I have friends that are darker, friends that are lighter, and sometimes my lighter friends might say, "Oh, I couldn't see your friend because it was too dark in the party."
I've had that.
And I'm
All
like-
I could see was the whites of your eyes.
Exactly.
I was
Exactly. Exactly.
I was said that to me.
Yes.
I was gobsmacked.
Yes.
I just,
Yes.
I couldn't answer.
Yes, and I couldn't let my friend get away with that. I really had to pull him up about that. And I find what's really amazing is that sometimes people are black when it suits them, when they can benefit off the culture.
Black for a cause.
You know, so when it's like, oh yeah, you're black, oh you're cool. It's like, oh, it's cool to be black. But then when it's on the flip side, oh, I'm not too black though, but I'm black.
Isn't it sad that, you know
So-
what really hurts about all this is that I hate talking colour, that we're reducing the human race to colour. It hurts me a lot when you think, why are we still doing this? Did you know what I mean? It's anyway, that's the reality of what it is. Okay, what on earth is the brown paper bag theory?
Oh,
What is that?
that's Hollywood.
Come on, Adele.
The brown paper bag theory is just essentially, so if you think back on, like when I was growing up, black films, the female lead was always lighter skinned than the male lead.
Okay.
And it's because in Hollywood is essentially saying that if you put a brown paper bag up next to the girl, if she is darker than that paper bag, she's too dark to be on screen.
grief.
She can't hold that character. So irrelevant of if you're the best actress for the role, you're too dark. Sorry, sweetie.
We may not have the brown paper bag, but that's still going on, isn't it?
Yeah,
if we're
it's
honest.
psychological is less obvious.
Okay. So just remind me, when is the film coming out?
The film premieres in a month today, so it's the 5th of June at the Rio Cinema in Dalston. If you just Google No Shade Film, and that's all of our social media handles on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, you can get tickets. No Shade Film. noshadepremiere.eventbrite.com, and then we'd have another encore screening at the Black Cultural Archives, which is like the Black Museum in Brixton, on the 8th of June, and then we have a matinee screening on the 9th of June at Curzon Soho in West End.
Okay.
So that's quite exciting.
All right. If you didn't have enough time to get all that, have a look at the Facebook page.
Yeah,
And
No
you
Shade
can
Film.
you can hear all that, or just go on Twitter and it's hashtag No Shade Film, isn't it? I've had a look.
Yes.
And there are a couple of images there that I've tweeted. Another quick message that's come in via Facebook. Oh gosh, do you know what? I've been scrolling through them. Okay, listen to this. Demore Louisi Cali James is the name, and he is blaming American black lifestyles for colorism. Do you think that's fair?
I'd have to ask him a bit more, but does he mean his depiction of beauty, or in a sense ratchetness? Because again, I think there is this energy about the love and hip hop generation that we're living in, where you've got dark skinned women who have been given a platform, but on those platforms they're fighting and acting up and staying with a man even though he's cheating with them. So it's almost like a negative portrayal of black love, typically. So maybe he might feel that is more of a response, and therefore it also seems as though men who seem to be in more stable relationships, stable-ish, seem to be with either white or light women, if they're like basketball players. So there's like there's like basketball wives and stuff like that. The lighter skinned relationships seem to be thriving, and women who are in, too dark skinned relationships seem to be broken up, or there's some level of cheating or physical, verbal abuse going on. And I guess that's the gag. That's what VH1 want them to, people to tune in next week to see more people, beating each other down verbally and physically.
That being also said, there is also, if you go for like Spike Lee's School Days, for example, that film is quite poignant in the concept of black men choosing between the fairest skinned, permed haired black woman and the darker skinned, natural haired, sort of bush, dark woman. But
Body. It's body.
it's but in English society, I mean, I would not have thought of it that way. I would have thought of it more along the lines of, are you British or are you African? Where do you really herald from? I mean, okay, the new rhetoric is, oh wow, African is cool. Yes, I embrace my African culture, Wakanda forever. But a few years back, I do remember a lot of people
No
be like,
one was shouting
Yeah,
Wakanda.
no one, no one.
it's like,
You
I'm not
trying
from
to-
Nigeria.
Like, people
I'm
be
from
asking you,
Brixton, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm from Brixton, man. You know what I mean? Like, where is your mum from? Congo. Okay, now let's do it. You know what I mean? Like,
Even like going back to primary school. Like primary school, I remember like people would hide the fact that like where they came from and
Okay, or do you know what? I've got the producer just doing this for me very quickly.
yes.
go.
I've got to give the final question to Danny simply because it's, have you ever looked at a chick and said, come on, I'm being very, Adele's just dropped her head and is giggling.
Go on, I'm ready for
Have
it.
you ever looked
Ready
at
for
a
it.
chick and thought, too light?
Yes.
Oh, really? Now, why are you thinking
Yeah.
about colour, Danny?
No,
It shouldn't be colour.
I'll tell you why.
Go on then.
I'll tell you why. Because I grew up in a family of where I was taught a lot about self-love, and I'd always aspired to have somebody that looked like my mother because I love her so much, honestly. So I think
tribute.
from that alone, I've always seen my mum as the epitome of somebody who I'd want to, aspire to be with. That somebody that was like my mother. So
Okay.
essentially, that's where
That
it
is a
comes from.
huge tribute, isn't it?
It is.
Fantastic. Okay, Claire, Kadeem, and Adele. Adele plays Jade, Kadeem plays Danny, and Claire Aniyam Osigwe is the writer, director, and co-star, former dermatologist, also a teacher, superwoman, basically. Thank you. And the
Thank
film
you.
is.
No shade.
Woo, go and see it.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, that was awesome.